Buongiorno a tutti, sono Tommaso Agnola. La presentazione preferite in italiano, inglese, se va bene a tutti italiano, resterei sull'italiano. Se mai switcho, better in English? Okay, now I will switch to English. Good morning everyone, I am Tommaso Agnola and I work in DTE at SUPSI University here in Lugano. I'm a scientific collaborator. And in our institute, we work in many projects related to decentralized world and blockchain. And in all of them, we have to deal with identification in this decentralized ecosystem. And now I want to talk to you about the future of digital identity, strictly related to the solution of NFTs and verifiable credentials. A brief introduction of what we will cover today. We will start with a couple of definitions of identity and credential. Then we will move to the identity models, and then we will focus on two main approaches related to decentralized identity, NFT and verifiable credential, and we will end with market solution. So let's start with a couple of definitions of identity and credential. What is an identity? An identity stands who you are and what you can do with your credential. Credentials are a set of qualities that characterize you and make you different to others. Okay? The owner of the credential can be a person, a thing, an organization, an animal, and so on. You can use your credential in order to buy goods, access service, or in general demonstrate compliance with requirements. For example, I can use my ID card in order to access museum or buy stuff, or I can show my driver license to the police in order to demonstrate that I passed a driving exam. Or, for example, if I want to check in an airplane, I can show my boarding pass that demonstrates I've bought a ticket for that particular airplane. In any case, with credential, there is a way to demonstrate the authenticity of the card. Okay, in the analog world, your credentials are physical documents like physical ID card, physical boarding pass, and there is way like hologram, signature, and so on. There is instruments in order to demonstrate the authenticity of this stuff in a digital world like scanner and so on, but in a strictly digital world where these documents are digital, we have many problems because we need automated system in order to prove the authenticity and the validity of the data. In this case, we have two main identity models: the federated identity model and the decentralized identity model. In the first case, we have three main entities: the user, the identity provider, and the service provider. The identity provider in the middle acts as a guarantor between the user and the service provider and store and manage user credentials. So the user provides his personal information to the identity provider, and the identity provider provides this credential to the service provider. For example, I'm the user, I log in a website, the service provider, with Google or Facebook. And the and the service provider, so the website, for example, an online shop and so on, can prove the authenticity of the data I inserted because this website trusts Google, and I, as a user, trust Google to manage my data. Of course, with this model, we have privacy and security problems because my data are stored inside server managed by a third party. So there is another model, the decentralized identity model, where the user owns and manages his own credential and provides it to the service provider. In this case, the link of trust between the entities that previously was established by the identity provider now is established by a public registry, for example, blockchain, and asymmetric key encryption. So in this case, the user provides directly his data that presents himself to the service provider, to one or more service provider, and each actor uses the registry in order to authenticate the counterpart. In this model, we have three main roles. The issuer that actually issues the credential to the holder, the subject of the credential, and the holder presents and provides the credential to the verifier. The verifier obviously needs to trust the entity that issued this credential. If we take, for example, Voxed Days, the issuer can be represented by Ate Ticino that issue the ticket in order to attend the Voxed Days to the holder. The holder presents his digital ticket to the verifier, the guys at the entrance. Of course, the guys at the entrance need to trust the role of the issuer. With this model, we have two main approaches. One with non-fungible token, NFTs, and one with verifiable credential. NFTs, we talk about NFTs in daily lives related to collectibles and digital arts, but what are NFTs? NFTs are digital assets that represents objects in online environments, impossible to be modified and to clone, and are very easy to prove possession of. It proves actually that a particular item is authentic and is not being modified or edited from the moment that is issued and the moment where is actually used by the holder. And as I said, we use NFTs in order to prove possession of a collectible or a piece of art, but NFTs can represent my identity. Of course, yes. In this case, the NFTs represents a credential stored inside my wallet. It's actually stored inside a blockchain, but inside my wallet, I have the account linked to this NFT on chain. So basically, the user is the owner of the NFTs and may prove their ownership by providing a signature of having the private key of the wallet related to the NFT inside his mobile wallet. Here a schema. Again, the verifier could be the guys in the entrance, the holder, the user that wants to attend Voxed Days, and the issuer at Ticino. In this case, the verifier requests the credential to the holder. If the holder doesn't have his credential inside his wallet, can ask it to the user. The issuer actually generate this credential and issue it inside the blockchain. So it means the NFT inside the blockchain. The holder can retrieve these NFTs from his wallet, and when he needs to access the Voxed Days, needs to send a proof to the verifier of having the private key related to the account on chain. And basically now the verifier has only to validate this signature. And the blockchain is used as a registry described previously in order to ensure the trust between the actors. A couple of considerations. This solution inherits the advantages of the centralized identity model, like no guarantor needed between the user and the service provider, and user controls his data. It's not stored inside a third-party machine and so on. And it is the good approach in contexts where credential trading occurs, like as I saw as I said, NFTs are used in contexts where as or collectible trading occurs. So there is a bunch of marketplace online in order to buy, sell, and trade NFTs. So we can use this approach where, for example, if the user can't attend Boxed Days, can sell his ticket in an online shop as an NFT credential to another user that wants to participate to the Boxed Days the night before. But the credential NFTs are actually stored on chain, so everyone possibly could read it. So if these data are not written well, there could be privacy issues. And then there is a problem related to cost associated to the life cycle of the NFTs, so generation, trading, and so on. A couple of market solutions in this case, so NFT as Credential. Soulbound token is an idea of Vitalik, the creator of Ethereum. In this case, we have standard NFTs, but these NFTs are not tradable. So once minted, the NFT is in possession of a user and can be traded anymore for the lifetime of the NFTs. And here are a couple of solutions that use actually these ideas of Vitalik, Photochromic Binance account bound token. Then another approach of digital credential in decentralized world are verifiable credential, characteristic of the SSI world, a more broader term that I will not cover today, but I leave you your time in order to get more details. What are verifiable credentials? Verifiable credentials are basically digital documents stored only inside your physical device, your physical wallet, and the user is in total control of his identity, credential, and data. Each verifiable credential contains a set of claims about the user and are stored inside, as I said, digital wallet. In this approach, we have a similar schema than before. The verifier requests a proof of owning a credential to the holder. The holder requests this credential to the issuer. The issuer now issue the credential directly to the holder and not store inside the blockchain, and use the blockchain registry in order to retrieve the public key of the holder and the verifier in order to establish a secret communication channel. Then the holder sends the proof of owning this credential to the verifier, and again uses the blockchain in order to establish a secret communication between himself and the verifier. Again, a couple of considerations, no guarantor needed, and user controls data. This is the best approach in terms of security and privacy because the credentials are actually stored inside the user smartphone and not in control nor in the blockchain nor inside third-party server, and presents a lower cost compared to the NFTs approach. But it offers limited opportunities for trading and purchasing. Again, a couple of solutions during the development of our project in SUBSI. We have an experience with Polygon ID, Veramo, and Matre, all library that provides you capabilities in order to issue credential, validate user credential, also trade credential, and so on. Recently, we used Polygon ID and Matre in project related to the issuance of flight ticket in order to check in inside a particular flight. And I used Veramo in a previous project. It was quite a complicated library because it offers you capabilities to to build your own application without any limitation or pre-configured environment. So a last slide in order to compare these two solutions. NFTs proves the ownership of something. Instead, verifiable credential proves the identity of an entity. So in the case of identity management could be the best approach. NFTs are visible basically to everyone because it's written on chain. But verifiable credential is visible to the owner and to whom she wants to disclose it. NFTs presents higher cost compared to verifiable credential and are strictly related to the blockchain networks. Verifiable credential can leverage various types of registry. It uses blockchain only to ensure trust channel between actors, but can work for example, in environments like Web2, of course, with less privacy and security trust channel. So my presentation is over. I remember you, I'm Tommaso Agnola. Here you can find a QR code to my LinkedIn account, and if you have any question, I'm here to solve it. Thank you for your attention. Everything's clear? Good. So my slide and was good. Thank you.